Yeah. Well, I'm just not sure about that right now.
Welcome to Couch and the Roof.
Welcome to Couch and the Roof, presented by Skymint Premium Cannabis, inspiring people to do better, be better, live better every damn day of their life. And our Thursday show brought to you by Mark and Jay from North Coast Wealth Management. These are two Spartans, both fired up for football season. Mark's a certified financial planner. Jay's a lawyer. Both are licensed, experienced wealth advisors, and they can get your money working for you. If you've got investment questions, Mark and Jay are the guys. Trustworthy dudes, Michiganders. But even if you don't live in Michigan, they will help you through it. Distance does not scare them. You can call them at 248-626-2000, 248-626-2000, or email them at info@northcoastwm.com. Jason, how you doing, man?
Football's back. He got it. What's up, Graham? How are you, buddy?
It is back.
It's back.
It's catching on. Like, I see that not just from our listeners, but other people. I feel like you've started something.
I think it was just something that was said normally, and I just said it on this podcast. I can't really claim football is back. I don't know if I get copyrighted.
You did it with a little bit of Skyman in you, trying to come up with a hot take, and all you came up with, and this was like July, or maybe it was August, football is back.
I think this was this Monday.
Oh, could have been Monday as
or
well.
Last Monday.
Yeah, no. It's but either way, good analysis, good nuance. I appreciate it.
It's true.
For those who are live listeners, thanks for rearranging your schedule. We didn't do this Friday because it's the game Friday night, and I'll be on the road, and also, I think a lot of people who don't listen to this live won't have as much time to listen to it. And then today, Alan Haller had a sort of a group media roundtable thing where we could chat with him for about an hour, and that was right when our show usually tips off. So needed to do that, and there was some interesting stuff that came out of that. I mean, he's an impressive guy, and he's got some interesting ideas, and I think the most interesting stuff he talked about from a fan perspective, Jason, is sort of the game day experience and reanalyzing that and trying to go after not just renewals of tickets, but a new audience. Like he wants people to he wants to find out people's experience from the time they leave their house until they get home, everything they go through, and how to improve it. And he wants to go after families more, understanding the idea that a 9 or 10-year-old gets that one opportunity to go to a game, even if it's once a year. That can create generations of people wanting to go to games, and fewer season tickets, maybe more bundled things, more passes to all sports at once. All sorts of interesting ideas. There's some other stuff too.
Beer at games.
We didn't actually get to the beer at games, but there are a lot of questions about Alan Haller. So a lot of the stuff he talked about today, we'll get into. And he's an interesting guy, really interesting guy, and also a Sexton Big Red. So that always helps because he comes from a deep educational background here in Lansing, Michigan, as well. We are going to dig into your Groovy Donut Twitter questions, and I don't think there's any reason to sit around and talk about anything else. Do you?
No. Let's do it.
Let's dig into them.
Eric Schultz, you know it, up first. I asked this a year ago before game one, so I'll ask it again now. We all get that it's technically year one for Tucker and that he needs to be given time, etc. But what would we have to see Friday for us as a fan base to collectively go, oh, shit, without it being an overreaction?
I'm guessing that is, oh, shit, in a negative view.
Yes, we're screwed.
Yeah, no, that's a really good question. What's the oh, shit moment for you, Jason?
I don't know if can there be one tomorrow night? I guess if you get shut out. I think if the players don't play well, there's no quarterback, the offense stinks still.
I think if the offense looks putrid.
Right.
Yeah, I think if there's
bad.
Shaky quarterback play and turnovers and they can't run the football, and it's like
the jet sweep isn't a joke. They're really doing it.
It's 4 jet sweeps in a row.
Yeah.
Yeah. No,
I think that would happen.
But because I do think there is a level of, and I just did this final column, 7 quick takes, last things I'm thinking before the opener.
7?
Yeah, I was going to make it 10. I couldn't come up with 3 more. So
football's back.
Anyway, I was just kind of out of stuff that was decent. And one of the things, I do think there's a level of pressure on Tucker from the standpoint of these 20 transfers, 17 from FBS schools, 14 from Power 5 schools. These are tied to him. This is his attempt to remake the roster. And while normally in college football it takes a while. He's trying to do it quickly, and how we'll be able to assess his ability to do that here. And I think we'll have a pretty good feeling that this team will grow into itself a little more, like every team does. But you'll get a vibe pretty quick on if they're going to be able to compete this year and push good teams or not after the Northwestern game.
All right, next one from Eric. A year ago, both of you were all over Maryland plus 11 at Northwestern week 1. Hate your memory. Kneecap of the week, Northwestern 143-3. Now you're both picking MSU and seem fairly confident. What made you so wrong a year ago with Northwestern in week 1, and why will you be right this year?
It's a very fair question. Maybe the fairest of all questions you could ask, Eric. A couple things. One, Maryland is shit. And they always have. Look, I thought they were going to have better speed, and people say they're going to be good this year. I don't trust Maryland's program, and I was wrong on that to the degree. I mean, they were awful. Northwestern wound up being a really good football team, and they've come up and had these sort of years a few times with the veteran guys. And I think that the difference is just break down the roster in terms of losing your top 4 receivers, your top running back, going with a quarterback who's struggled every time he's gotten an opportunity. Not saying it couldn't all come together, but don't you look at Michigan State's roster and say that's more intriguing? I at least think the offense is probably more talented. Yeah,
and you're more high on Michigan State, that is, than I am. I got to see the offense first. But did we really go kneecap of the week in week 1 last year?
Very possible.
I'm not going to challenge Eric's memory. It's probably right, but
no, I'm pretty sure we did.
Jeez. Yeah, sorry about that. Gavin Haas up next. Number 1, final MSU season record predictions from both of you. And 2, how do you steal a girl that's dating a guy? And 3, how great are the script unis? Think the new alternate uniforms will get even better from here?
I meant to put these in 3 separate things, but we'll do these separate, obviously.
Oh, yeah.
What's your final record prediction?
7-5.
Yeah, I'm there. And look, I know I had them losing to Nebraska and beating Indiana. I still think when it all comes down to it, I pick 7-5, however it winds up looking. Okay, the important question here. How do you steal a girl that's dating a guy that obviously you want? Now, the big thing is keep yourself out of the friend zone. I mean, that's a long play. If you're going to marry this girl, maybe 14 years from now, she'll come around and it works. But that's not really how you want to spend your 20s or your high school time. So it's not you got to stay out of being too nice and just being there and being taken advantage of. You've got to make her notice you in some way, shape, or form. That's, I don't know.
Start flashing money. No, you have to start working out. That's what you have to do. And talk smack about this guy. Just around her, not to her personally, but just within earshot of her. Let's say your buddy, you guys are walking down the hallway, and you're talking smack about this guy.
I don't know.
You heard something.
Nah, that doesn't help. You got to fight him. No, I'm kidding. Don't do that.
Challenge him to a duel.
You got to get noticed, though. She's got to want you more than she wants him, and that's hard to do. You got to put yourself in situations where that can happen, and so that's the key too.
You should put rhinestones on your Iowa hat like I did back in 7th grade.
That's all. Yeah, he's 15, thankfully, and hopefully.
Okay.
But I wasn't looking a whole lot better at 15. I'll say this: the problem at 15 is, as you said, you got to start working out. Is I used to lift weights like every single day at 15. You can only bulk up so much.
Is that why your arms are so short?
Yeah, but I'm saying at 19, like you can, as a guy, you can usually put on some upper body mass. At 15, you can pump all the iron you want. At the end of the day, you're still
it's
strong.
all about abs, bro. That's all you got to do.
Yeah. But yeah, get her to notice you. Get her to notice you and do it in a way that doesn't make you come off as a complete jerk, but makes you a little curious, a little mystery. A little mystery helps. I don't know. This is what I would tell myself if I was 15, right? I'm talking to a 15-year-old.
I was about to say, I don't remember stealing a girl from anyone, so I don't know why.
I did not.
I did not do it either.
If I was 30, if I was talking to a 35-year-old, I would have different advice, right? But this is.
I had a girl that wanted to go out with me. I was scared to talk to her freshman year of high school.
Yeah,
Katie Rasnan.
Oh, yeah,
she actually was interested in me. And I would ignore her in the hallways because I was so scared.
I can remember sweating through a phone call with a girl when I was 14 because I was just so awkward and didn't really know where to go with it. Yeah.
Oh, man.
So the third one here, how great are the script unis? Have you seen these white script helmets?
I have.
They're kind of cool. I like them.
Yeah.
I think they're more in line with, I think Michigan State has great traditional uniforms, but I think they're more in line than the Neon, certainly.
And better than Northwestern, what they're throwing. Jay from North Coast Wealth Management up next. Is it fair that we as a society make a kid like Gavin Haas suffer through geometry at 7:40 a.m. when we all know the only math you actually use in life relates to 1, betting odds, 2, adding a tip and a total on a bar tab after 4+ drinks, and 3, compounding interest on investments?
I've always said, like, the best, like, I was great at statistics and in function statistics and trig. I had the highest grade that marking period in the class, higher than all the smart girls that sat in front. And it was all from, I mean, even doing the timetables, adding touchdowns, it was easy. You know, we did times tables in 3rd grade. We got to 7s, and I blew through it. I was like a whole number ahead of all the kids. And all those skills are still the ones I use to this day. My wife uses a calculator. I got it in my head. And I was like a D algebra student. Who gives a shit what X equals? In most things in this world, Jay is completely right. And for the stuff you don't know, Jay and Mark at North Coast Wealth Management can absolutely help. The investment stuff, the tricky stuff, the stuff where you want your money working for you, the stuff where it's a 401k from a previous employer, saving for Gavin's college education, which is really important. We want Gavin to keep getting educated. All that stuff.
Or you end up like the Rube.
Yeah, right.
I don't want that.
These guys are strategic wealth managers. They are about you. They're about getting your money and your situation to work for you. You can give them a call, 248-626-2000, 248-626-2000. Email them at info@northcoastwm.com and check them out online at northcoastwm.com. Let them know Couch and the Rube sent you, and it's a free consultation to see if this is the right fit for you.
Lucas up next. On our podcast, Bacon Wire, I had MSU at 9-3 with losses to Miami, Ohio State, and Penn State. Am I crazy? Bacon Wire.
Well, here's the thing. You're not crazy in the sense that I think Michigan State can be competitive in every game this season other than probably the Ohio State game. The problem is I think they're vulnerable in a lot of these games too. So the idea that they would finish 9-3 and win almost every time they have the opportunity to, that's saying they're winning in Indiana, and I picked that prediction. That's fine. And beating Michigan. I mean, the only way 9-3 happens to me is if they have a year of just incredible health, and a lot of the intriguing parts are as good as sort of the hype around some of these guys is to be. But they have to keep both offensive tackles healthy, or you start moving guys around, and that gets to be a mess again. It's got A.J. Curry and Jarrett Horst, the transfer from Arkansas State. Those are 2 of the most important guys on the roster, and both of their top 2 wideouts healthy. Those 4 guys, if they're healthy all year, they have depth enough other places that they can sustain an injury. But those 4 guys healthy, and they get a few breaks here and there, that's how that sort of season happens.
Maybe up next. Can we get Chris on to hear why he hates Johnny Spirit, or can Graham tell the secondhand story worth telling?
So, yeah, I can sort of do that a little bit. I reached out to Chris this morning when I saw this question from Michelle. And
Chris Solari, by the way.
Chris Solari, yeah. He hates Johnny Spirit. We were at Johnny Spirit was on his bike at the Pinstripe Bowl a couple of years ago, and we were standing outside waiting to be able to go in, and Chris nearly ran and tackled him. And so it stems from, and I don't know the full story, but there's a blog about it he wrote that maybe I'll share at some point that was involved Joe Rexrode and other things. But the story of what happened was, let me make sure I have this right. It involves Chris getting kicked out of Munn Arena for throwing ice at Johnny Spirit when he was in college. And
so why is that Johnny Spirit's fault?
Well, he said, so what happened was, other than melting moments being thrown, the asshole Spirit blocking the view of the play, jumping around like the dolt he is, I got kicked out, and they wanted to take my friend's season ticket I was using. I managed to keep that. And he says that's a genesis, but there's so many more situations added to the hatred. Too many to type. He said he threw cans at him from the State News window while he was spray painting the snow in February with red hearts when he was dressed as Cupid. And he goes, he wasn't alone at that. So
because he blocked his view at a hockey game?
He can be annoying. I have heard people say once they saw him yelling at his mother and sister, I think, when he was painting him, when they were painting him because they weren't doing it right.
Like the video of that.
Yeah, no. And I would love to do an interview with different women who have dated him and painted him, because I've heard, anyway, there's
probably one.
Well, Chris has a friend who dated him briefly in college who actually had to paint him. So that gives you a little bit of the gist.
I think that's a full Wednesday show.
Yeah, it's got to be a full Wednesday show. That is a story we're telling, presented by our friends at Midtown Brewing Company. That's at 402 South Washington Avenue here in downtown Lansing. Great place for weekend brunch. If you're looking to start your weekend before college football, Midtown Brewing Company. Terrific menu, mimosa flights. And they've got big screen TVs. They've got TVs at the bar. Like if you just want to stay and make a day of it or watch a game later on while having a meal with a friend, great place to do it. Terrific menu, great beer selection. Midtown Brewing Company, 402 South Washington in downtown Lansing.
Jim Harden up next. If the quarterback competition was that close, do you anticipate both quarterbacks getting snaps, or do they stay with one unless it's a disaster?
No, I think I think they play one guy unless he really struggles or it's blowout late. I can't imagine. It just doesn't help when you start looking over your shoulder when you're trying to work a second guy in. It doesn't. You're trying to get your offense to be in sync, and you don't want to play two, and that's tough on the second guy. I also think it's very unlikely that Michigan State makes it through the whole season without needing its backup quarterback. So that guy's probably going to get an opportunity at some point, and I think that backup is going to be Anthony Russo.
Jim Harden with this one. FYI, if you're making a wager on the Georgia-Clemson game Saturday night, no, Georgia will be without their top 3 wide receivers.
That is excellent information.
Thank you for that.
I don't really trust this young new Clemson quarterback yet, and that's part of my issue with not wanting to bet this game. I just don't. I'm not there. To me, it's still a little bit of a toss-up.
Mark Gamachi up next. If you could bring one player back from MSU history to help this team, who is it? Mine is Mike Sadler or Morton Anderson.
Who would yours be?
Good God. Connor Cook?
I think they'll be okay. So that's where it gets interesting because you could say somebody like Charles Rogers, right? And yes, Charles Rogers is the best receiver I've ever seen play at Michigan State.
A focused Malik McDowell.
But the problem is that they're actually strong at that position. I don't think you need a place where you're maybe not as sure. Like Jack Conklin would be helpful. Maybe a tackle of that ilk. T.J. Duckett might be the guy just to drag people. I mean, he could something like that. Or Darquez Denard, a corner of that ilk. But I would say T.J. Duckett or Jack Conklin would be the two guys I would look at.
Greg Hardwick up next. My brother-in-law is at home recovering from abdominal surgery. Can you recommend any SkyMint products that would aid his comfort and recovery?
They're actually really good. They're very informative of this. If you go to a SkyMint location, they will talk you through this. Like they know what they're talking about, and they know what works with pain and all that stuff.
I will say, after a pre-roll of either sativa or indica, whatever, I don't feel any pain. So
yeah, it's like I a co-ed team that I've been subbing in on, and soccer is I hadn't played competitively in 25 years since high school, and it's a different, even for somebody who plays a lot of basketball, it's a different muscle. There are muscles I haven't used in 25 years, put it that way, all right? And my wife said she heard different types of groans around the house when I came home, like trying to get in the shower and get ready. I sounded like an old man.
Couldn't fit?
Yeah, so popped some SkyMint, felt fantastic. An hour later, I was, forgot all about it, slept like a baby. So there are certainly edibles that would help. There are other things, but they will be able to talk you through this. It's one of the great things about SkyMint, I think, is just how knowledgeable and friendly they are. There are 3 SkyMint locations in the Lansing area, many more throughout Michigan. Go to skymint.com and use the Couch in the Rube promo code for 20% off. Also, they have a deal going on for Labor Day, buy 4, get 2 free. It's a mix and match with SkyMint 8s and pre-rolls, SkyMint and North gummies. Lots of good stuff there going on. So if their deal is better than the Couch in the Rube promo code, Couch in Rube 20, you get that, and that can be a really good way to help on Labor Day weekend.
Next up is Greg Hardwick. Why does Andrew Gauthier post so many tweets at 4 a.m.? Shouldn't he be focusing on making the groovy donuts?
Well, I mean, they start earlier in 4, and I think in his role now, he doesn't have to be baking as much. So I think that's a big part.
And
of
as long as the donuts get there, who gives a shit?
And he runs the business operations as well. So that's probably why the 4 a.m. tweets are happening.
Greg with this one. Did Alan Haller have anything to do with getting melting moments back at Spartan Stadium? If so, a lifetime contract would be in order.
Wouldn't that be like the best thing to do? Like, my first order is AD. Melting
but that's
moments.
what you used to do, like when you were running for president in 4th grade.
Right.
You'd be like, I'm going to get everyone ice cream sandwiches.
We're getting a soda machine.
Yep.
Friday's off.
It's never going to happen, but I'm going to say it.
I'm going to promise
the
it.
Class.
Because 5th graders can't get shit done, but we're going to say it.
Spartan Antiques up next. What will Alan Haller's approach be to non-revenue sports? Run a clean program and winning is unimportant, or hold coaches accountable to develop Olympians and win Big Ten titles?
Well, I think run a clean program is important. He wants them to be able to compete. I mean, they've got budgetary issues that they've had, but I mean, he wants. I think what's important is, and this will be up to coaches to win and sell this, and the experience over time that's created to feed on itself. But like one of the things he talked about today, and I had conversations with him earlier about is, football and the crew team or the men's golf team may be different, right, in terms of how they're treated, but they can all be treated fairly, and you can care about the student athlete in a certain way. Like the nutrition can be, your nutrition program can be the same for all, instead of the football players getting one thing and so getting another. He went out. They've already they're getting the tennis courts resurfaced because he just thought it was important based on what he saw for a competitive level, and what those athletes deserve to play on. So I think that'll be interesting over time. Look, there are limitations for revenue sport. They want to win. They're, what they spend their money on, those will be hard choices at times, and we'll see where he goes. I mean, one of the things he talked about today, though, is he has a 2-hour conversation with President Stanley scheduled for Tuesday, and there's also a Alan Haller press conference scheduled for Tuesday that's like an official unveiling thing. And there are certain things he has plans in terms of reorganization within the department and initiatives that he does not want to reveal yet, because part of what he said he told Sam Stanley was that he would not do anything without letting him know first or putting him aboard. He doesn't want it written before he has that conversation. But I do think as early as Tuesday we may start to hear some of that stuff, and we'll start to see his vision put in place.
Bo McJunkins up next. Graham, what's your take on Jocelyn Benson inserting her thoughts into the MSU AD search? Good intentions maybe, but an unnecessary voice entering an already messy situation. And politics aside, please fix the Secretary of State offices.
Yeah, I didn't like it. Look, I had people saying that Whitmer was, I don't know to what degree influenced, but had some hopes for who the AD might be. And that's just not helpful to me. It's just not helpful if you're influencing it. Now, I think to Samuel Stanley's credit, they did a search. I do think that Heather Lyke was his top choice. I think she ultimately, and not that they got far enough in the interview process to know that for sure. I'd say she was his top person of interest going in. And so there was a woman that they were very interested in. There were multiple minorities they were interested in. And ultimately, they let the interview process do the work. And when you listen to Alan Haller, you can understand why an outside AD, unless you were really good, would have trouble selling themselves better than him. I mean, he really has an understanding of the place and things that are already going, and what he wants to do and what's important. And whether he can execute all that is a whole different matter. But I think it was a smart hire, for the time, and they let the interview do the work, and he impressed them.
Next one from Bo. It's week 1 of football. Michigan still has a football building named after Schembechler. How has this story been buried like this? Local writers did great work, but no one else wants to touch it. If it were MSU Molly Quirm would be on game day calling for the death penalty.
There's no question that nationally the media treated, especially one particular network, treated MSU differently than they've treated Michigan. There's no question about it. And it's because ultimately eyeballs sell situations, and young women in giving testimony to abuse in court on TV is different than the situation in Michigan, and it just doesn't sell as well. That's the dirty part of all of this. That said, there was, I think there is some good coverage in local media, as you said. But you're right. Nationally, it wasn't the same. Now, ESPN's anger with MSU came from a lot of FOIA requests and a lot of investigation stuff that Michigan State rebuffed them on in terms of records, and that created the situation. Michigan State played a hand in that. If Michigan State had been more transparent and forthcoming early on, I think that situation might have unfolded differently. And but then there's no question that ESPN conflated the two stories unethically and irresponsibly in terms of Nassar and their other, what they saw were findings with within the football and basketball program, and they won a Peabody for it. So next time somebody wins a Peabody, just know that it's kind of worth shit, because you can't conflate something like that. You can't mislead people like that and be rewarded for it. Now, was there some good reporting within what they did? Yeah. But when you screw it up like that, and when you and when you do something as irresponsible as Izzo and D'Antonio and Nasser in the same marquee, you've lost credibility.
Next one from Bo. Does Brett Bielema own anything other than a windbreaker?
If I had his gut and like next to him I look like Usain Bolt, I would wear a windbreaker too, because you could see like he's got a shirt tucked in with his gut when it came up.
I was about to say, I don't think Brett Bielema gives two shits like that his gut's sticking out, or
he doesn't.
I just think it's comfortable.
He's getting
it's the thing that's there when he wakes up in the morning.
But he's getting to an age where his weight is got to be uncomfortable, and so I would work
just because he looks uncomfortable.
Yeah,
like at all times.
Yeah.
Next one from Bo. Worst MSU football coordinator of all time. Of all time, Chris Smielin's defense couldn't stop Raccoon Graham full of Sky Mint and Groovy Donuts. Then again, who could?
Speaking of Groovy Donuts, by the way, and Groovy Donuts has fall flavors just around the corner, starting next Thursday. All sort of really cool. Pumpkin spice, apple cider, caramel apple Bismarcks. I mean, holy crap. Looking at this picture, it's amazing. I even just bit off the microphone drooling.
Brett Bielema would.
Yeah. But that means until after Thanksgiving, there are going to be some flavors that cycle out. Red velvet cake donuts and cherry Bismarcks will be out until after Thanksgiving. So if you want to get those, and there might be some left, go to Groovy Donuts this weekend. Make Groovy Donuts part of your weekend tailgate at home or with friends, whoever or however you're doing it. Go to groovydonuts.com, place your order, or go to either of their two locations on Lake Lansing Road in East Lansing or in Williamston. Look, when you have Groovy Donuts, you just know the difference. And I've had a lot of donuts, trust me, a lot of donuts, from Speedway Donuts to Quality Dairy Donuts to Groovy Donuts. It's just another level of donut, and you will absolutely appreciate it.
Anything shaped like a donut? Kevin from Rochester Hills up next. Which transfer will have the biggest impact against Northwestern? Did President Stanley feel the pressure from football alum to hire Haller?
I think these are two separate questions. I forgot to put them under two separate things, but we'll do them both here. Which transfer will have the biggest impact? The three that I'm sort of looking at, and again, it could absolutely be Kenneth Walker. I'm curious to watch the two corners, Ronald Williams and Chester Kimbrough. Corvarius Couch, I'm curious to see what he does. Couch. It's Crouch. I'm going to get that wrong forever.
Cockburn.
But I also think the guy we might not notice but will have the impact is Jarrett Horst, the left tackle. And I think that's a really important position. Somebody, if you get a chance, and that's not really the way we often watch football. We watch the ball. But if you watch him and his impact, I think that could be really important. And then, the second part there, Kevin. Did President Stanley feel pressure from the football alumni hire Haller? If anything, from what I had heard, that worked against Haller early on. People don't like to being told what to do. And there was a lot of, this is the guy, this is the guy, this is the guy. And Michigan State has a Bobby Williams history of that not working out. And you got to let somebody be their own. Now, it's fine to recommend somebody to put in a call, and I don't think it went too far, but it didn't help Alan Haller. He did not get the job because people wrote in. If anything, that was a deterrent early on.
Dark Mantonio up next. All factors considered, will Izzo outlast the new AD Haller?
Not if things go well for Alan Haller. I mean, it's a 5-year contract at $900,000 a year, which is good money. I mean, you talk about a guy who's happy he didn't get the CMU AD job a year ago.
Well, let's start with Izzo. How long do you think he lasts?
I think Izzo's looking at about 5 more years, 6 more years. So the real key is, does Haller outlive his contract? Does this work? If it works for Haller, Alan Haller is a decade guy or plus. Like, he's not a guy. He's 50 years old right now. This is the dream job. He grew up in this community, went to Michigan State. Like, he would love to be the AD and retire as the AD in 10 to 15 years, whatever that looks like. And so if you believe it's going to work for Alan Haller, and I believe it's got a shot to work, then he'll outlast Izzo's coaching tenure. If you don't, I think Izzo goes 5-6 more years, so that would be Izzo. But I'm going to say here that Izzo does not outlast Alan Haller. Yeah. And which means, of course, Alan Haller is part of that conversation then. And I think, look, Izzo knows Alan Haller well. And so that will be at the time that they're, that moving on to the next coach, be it Dwayne Stevens or outside. I think those two will work together. And Alan Haller is his own man. I don't think he's not going to roll over if he has opinions about really what that coach needs to be. By the same token, the more I think about the situation of Izzo, the only man ever at Michigan State to win like that in basketball and to do it for 25 years, if he says the best chance you have at continuing this is my right-hand man, and you don't listen to him, you better get it right with the outside person.
Don't coach my team.
Next one from Dark, Michigan, Tennessee, Nebraska. 3 blue bloods who haven't won a national title in over 20 years. Who is best suited, or who can you see winning one next? That's a great question.
It's a great question. Yes, it's a good one, Dark.
I don't know.
I don't like any of their chances right now. To me, it would be Tennessee. They're in the worst shape, maybe, of the 3. But I think there are, I don't know. They all have some of the same. Boy, 20. Boy, that's a really tough question.
Bazooka time.
Because in both cases right now, there is a program, and Nebraska's got other issues. But let's take Tennessee and Michigan. In both cases, there is a program in their league. In Tennessee, there are multiple, but that is sort of a rival that's ahead of them, that's substantially ahead of them. Tennessee, Alabama, Michigan, Ohio State, that you measure yourself against and you can't seem to get past. So which of those teams gets past that first? And the reason I would say Tennessee is I believe Saban's tenure at Alabama is potentially shorter than Ryan Day's. And Alabama before Saban was really struggling. That's not a guarantee. But I think they're both, half a decade away from being at that level at least.
Dark Mantonio with this one. There's 4 Big Ten crossover games to start the season. Why is that all East teams had to go West? Do you think there's something behind that?
It's a great point. Maybe I haven't even looked at next year's schedule, but maybe the plan was to reverse that. I don't know. I had not.
It's okay to not know, Graham.
Yeah, I'll just keep rambling about it. Waste the rest of the show.
Next one from Dark. There seems to be a lot of optimism coming from MSU fans and talkers now. So how big of a disappointment will it be if they went like 3-9 or 4-8?
Oh, I think that would be a significant disappointment. First of all, they'd be under the over/under for wins, so everybody who bet over 4.5 would be pissed
really
off.
Pissed,
yeah, you don't want to if you cover the season over, you've done your minimum job. So
because that way people can be like, well.
And
it's always next year.
And 6 wins to me, again, I've said this before, but to me 500 is based on home games. So when a team says, we went 500, well, 500 should be, so if you have 8 home games, and every once in a while one of these teams does, you better go 8-4. 8-4 is the same as 5-7 for the mid-major that has 5 home games and 7 road games. Michigan State, weirdly this year, has 6 home, 6 road. You don't see that very often anymore. And so usually there's 7 home. So even when they've gone 500, they've had 7 home games. I think 6 wins, and I think the real key is that mediocrity looks different and it looks promising. Like if their offense shows some life and there are guys on that roster that people are excited about, and the program feels like they're competitive with some good teams. They upset somebody maybe along the way, even if they lose some games they shouldn't or frustrated. I think that's really important. I think it would be pretty disappointing at 3-9, 4-8. I think. How it looks, it's not just getting to like 6-6, but it's how it looks too.
Jimmy up next. In the MSU Northwestern game, what would have to happen to be called a bad win for the Spartans? On the flip, what would have to happen to be called a good loss for the Spartans? Finally, who was a big deal because they were a big man? Appreciate you.
Who's a big? I don't get that last part.
Who's a big deal because they were a big man? I don't know.
There must be a saying I'm missing. I always miss something. It goes.
Mark Eaton.
Yeah, this is
7-4. The beast.
Yeah. Oh, I see what you're saying.
I guess.
So what would have to happen to be called a bad loss for the Spartans? A bad win. Bad win.
A bad win?
Oh, here's it. Here it is. The defense is. It wouldn't be a bad win.
Shootout, maybe?
No, I think it's the opposite. I think if it's the offense looks like crap, but Northwestern's so inept that they win 13-10.
You got it.
And it's like, well, wait a sec. I think that's it.
Yep.
What would happen to be a good loss? A good loss would have to be like
shootout.
Yeah, and yeah, right. And Northwestern's quarterback just like holy crap, who's Hunter Johnson? Where'd that come from? Like something like that would But I don't know if there's a good loss this weekend. A bad win would take a certain circumstance.
Spartan Johnny up next. What if MSU loses by 20? Then what the hell do we do? Well, Monday's show will be tough.
Yeah.
Youngstown State. Am I right?
I mean, yeah, you're not going to – I mean, people will be excited to be back in the stadium. You're going to have to make it up against Miami and hope they're beaten down after getting drubbed by Alabama and losing to App State. If Michigan State loses badly, it'll shake this season. Basketball season, that's what you got.
Spartan Johnny with this one. How similar is Graham's game to this 4-star Kohler kid Izzo just offered? This is what I picture Couch sees himself as. You can't look fierce like with braces, though. I understand. I feel bad for the kid. But
I've seen a video of him, and there are elements to his game to mine at like 31 years old. There's no question. So that's how I do see myself.
Just 31? That's weird.
I played last night, though, and I did not look like that. I don't keep stats.
Liar. Spartan Johnny up next. Can we throw caution to the wind today and just give the people some hoff?
Oh, yeah.
All right, there we go.
Good stuff.
Yeah.
Appreciate the request.
Vanzi up next. Would Graham lie to us, or is that something he's not going to do?
He's playing off what Mel Tucker said the other day.
He just lied. He said he doesn't keep stats for his game. It's bullshit.
I would embellish. I would never lie.
Brett up next. Thoughts on Malik McDowell making the 53-man roster for Cleveland? Might end up being a star.
I'm happy for him because Malik McDowell is one of those people, and look, he's had some missteps in life. I think he was a disaster on the roster in 2016. But there are people you meet in college, who are playing college sports rather, who don't need to make it as pros to make it in life. And you know it right away. They're like, this guy's could be fine. Alan Haller's a great example of that. Played a little bit in the NFL, got cut 8 times. No matter. He has a good life and good career, winds up as the AD at Michigan State. I've covered guys like that a lot. And then there are others you cover that you're like, I really hope that guy makes it. Really, because you just, it's, and Keith Appling is a guy like that. Now, I'm not saying the same choices would be made. I'm just saying.
Do you realize how good you have to be to do a year in jail and make a 53-man roster?
Yeah.
I mean, Malik McDowell, if he dedicated himself when he was at Michigan State, how great of a player he would have been.
And he was
good luck to him. I mean, that's amazing to me.
And he was unbelievable in the preseason. Some of the clips I've seen and other things, I mean, good for him. And I hope it sticks. I hope he keeps himself in the right headspace, and I hope he's in a good culture there where that all goes well for him, and he's learned some lessons. And look, you got to root for people who get a second chance and root for them to make the most of it.
Brett, up next, did your pick 'em with some buddies last night? Big fan of that. What team is on the upset altar this weekend?
I think that was supposed to be alert, maybe. But
alert.
Upset alert this weekend. I don't think it's Michigan. The team I like a lot is, I mean, I've said this before. I like Indiana is a dog, a road dog against Iowa. I also think
everybody's live. It's week 1.
It's hard. It's really hard to. We went through them, and I try and pick the most intriguing games. The games I love the most are Michigan State, and if you want to be careful take the points instead of the money line because it's not that big a payout. Buy the half point up to 4. I like Indiana a lot, and the more and more I think about it, I love LSU as a 3-point favorite at UCLA. And part of the reason for that is the line was originally like 7. UCLA looked good against a horrible Hawaii team last week, and the line came down. I really like LSU as just being a different class team than UCLA this weekend at -3.
Brett with this one. What is the best kind of food for leftovers? The stir fry is hitting the spot.
I don't know. What's your best leftover?
Man, I'm not a big leftovers guy. Pizza's obviously the easiest.
Yeah, pizza. Neither is my wife, and I love it because I get most of the leftovers. It's like I just know she's not going to get into it. I like Chinese.
She looks at you and goes, ew, twice.
Chinese food, yes. Right. Jesus. It's true. I like Chinese food. Is
no
leftovers.
Shit.
Yeah.
Did you work in Kalamazoo, too?
Yeah, I like food. My name is Graham. I like food. Speaking of food, Another food I can guarantee you I love, and this is no embellishment, and that is Midtown Brewing Company, 402 South Washington Avenue in downtown Lansing. The chorizo burger is one of my favorite breakfast deals they have. They have the breakfast nachos. They have a lot of really good stuff on their brunch menu, and also the mimosa flights. Great beer selection. American Stout is my absolute favorite, and they've got a little outdoor setup patio too. So if you'd rather be outdoors, it's a good setup. If you'd rather feel comfortable, I think it's the way they set it up inside. Though it's airy, you feel comfortable. I was in there the other day having a lunch. It was absolutely perfect.
Dren 8613 up next. Are we sure this Bishop Sycamore fake school scheme wasn't cooked up by our favorite former local media member who moved on to Sin City?
It's a very Hondo thing to do, right?
How great would that have been if he was like a part of that?
Oh my gosh!
Reading about it on Awful Announcing because they were following the story was just fascinating.
The follow through would have been there though. If this had been a Hondo operation, it would have nobody would have showed up. It would have been a.
But I still don't understand why you would do that. They were trying to make money. I'm guessing, right?
He wants to. Yeah, he wants to be like what's the school in the South? It's the IHG Academy. IMG Academy. Yeah.
Next one from Andrew Gauthier. MSU's social pages just to confirm they'll be rocking the Script State helmets this week. Any news on other unique or cool helmets or unis this year?
I don't have any. I'll say this. The fact that they went with the script, which I like, I think they have to stay true to sort of the base of what they are because they have great uniforms. I would love to see they're going to do an alternative uniform. They like the late 80s, early 90s, thick green stripe, put some roll collars on, throw the S
Ezor
on there. Yeah, Blake Ezor it up, man. Let's do it.
All right, next one from Andrew. What's MSU's football ceiling if their O-line has improved from total ass to serviceable this season? Seems like just being okay along the line should open up a lot of the offense for this team.
Yeah, I mean, the O-line, look, it's everything in a lot of ways. You can be a pretty average team if you have a good offensive line and you're going to be okay. And so serviceable is a massive step. And I think there's enough talent if it's serviceable to really help them be competitive. And the real key, the thing a serviceable line does for you is if you have playmakers and you can at least protect and you can run the football to keep people honest, even if it's 2 yards a carry against an Ohio State type, it gives you a shot at upsets if you're not overwhelmed there, if your quarterback can stay upright. And, I think you're right. Just being okay would be a big step. But it's just being okay against good teams, too. That's where they need to get to. They need to win some of their, you go back to 2016, as bad as that season was, they rushed for like 200 yards in 3 of their last 4 games, and including against Ohio State and lost by 1. Like, they could still move people from time to time, and they need to get to that point.
Next one from Andrew. How much will Ronaldo's move back to Man U affect your EPL betting gram?
It'll help because I'm looking for mismatches, and the more mismatches and the more times, like he'll early on, they're not likely to have a bad performance when he starts. He'll be looking to impress, right? So that you find the mismatch that week, and it helps.
Next one from Andrew. With summer coming to an end and college football firing up, so you have any big plans to finish the nice weather off with a bang?
A box of donuts sitting in the sun, baking. I don't know. No, I'm just kidding, Andrew.
Lasagna.
Lots of reasons to go to Groovy Donuts, but baking in the sun is not one of them. I don't. I'm ready to turn the page. The heat that we had for like 2 weeks was enough for me to go like, all right, let's do this. Let's football season it up. I'm done with this crap.
Next from Andrew. Is there a cutoff time or age for crashing on a buddy's couch or floor to save money on hotel fare? Is the answer different if they have a wife and kids? For reference, I'm in my 30s and maybe on my last leg of couch sleeping, not totally wrecking my back.
Where are you at on this?
I feel like at 42, I feel like you could still do it. If I was going to my buddy's house because he doesn't have like an extra room or something like that, I would just sleep on the couch, right? And I'm 42, I guess. But if I had Treese with me, we would get a hotel.
Yeah.
Like a couple thing.
I prefer hotels, but I am, and a couch is not great, but it really is situational.
And I'm not drinking anymore, so sleeping on a couch is like extra hard.
Yeah,
I have to hammer melatonin.
Yeah, if you I'm at the stage you don't have a guest bed for me, I'm probably going to get a hotel. I like a guest bet.
You're a 5-star guy.
Yeah, well, I just you get to an age too where your back just feels different when you wake up with a rough sleep night. It takes a minute.
But I'm saying like week 1 of the NFL season, you go to your buddies. You don't want to obviously drive home.
Oh yeah, I have no problem.
He lives a little ways away. I just crash on.
Crash on the couch. Yeah. No, and you're not too old for that. Absolutely. And really, if it's Christmas Eve and you wake up Christmas morning with the kid, looking at you, thinking you're Santa Claus because your buddy's having sex with his mom in the other room, that's really okay too, isn't it, Santa Rube?
It was my cousin. Yeah.
That was a story we're telling, presented by Midtown Brewing Company for sure. One of the greats.
I know. David Jackson up next. Do you think the O-line has an actual depth chart, or instead, whoever may get injured will be replaced by a utility guy with players switching positions?
Well, there's an actual depth chart, at least a tackle. I think you have to look at this line, and where it gets interesting is after the 2 starting tackles. Like their backup tackle is a guard who's starting. So then there's moving around. There will be guys switching positions, but there is a depth chart, but it involves guys switching positions. So to answer your question, it's both, and where they don't have depth is tackle. I think they have decent interior depth. I don't think the drop offs are too bad there. I think guys moving around there isn't going to be as big a deal. The problem is when you take an interior guy and the outside, we've seen that's just not a great fit.
Next one from David. Why is it that I think the future of the program would be better with Russo starting? Am I justified for fearing that the quarterback room will be gutted by departures of the young guys if Thorne starts?
I mean, yeah, there's a little of that. If Russo wins the job and starts all year and Thorne's got to win the gig next year, but there's also a chance if he lost it this year that Thorne would leave. I think it's going to get interesting because, look, everywhere quarterbacks are going to go through this. One guy really plays, and you're going to have a quarterback recruited in every class at every college, and so there's going to be a lot of unhappy guys looking to move, and so it's going to be a weird transfer portal. And coaches are going to start looking at guys and going, "Are you somebody who just flees if it gets tough? You're going to have to move here and compete." It happened to Anthony Russo. He's going to have to compete at Temple. He had to compete at Michigan State, and I think some guys will start to figure out that it's better off if I try to win it and stay here and wait my turn in the old days just because I can leave. Because if you want to leave and play immediately, you're often going to have to move down. Otherwise, you're going to run into all sorts of competition, and you're going to be in the same spot you were wherever you are. Now, if Peyton Thorne has a huge year, like Connor Cook wound up having it in 2013, and he looks like there's no way anybody else is beating that guy out for 2 more years, and he's only 6'2", and he has a modest arm, so he's probably not an early NFL guy, then that becomes a different discussion. But that's a great problem to have if it's like, well, that's the starter for the next 2 years, and he's a stud.
And like you said, I think if it's Russo, guys behind Russo are going to start talking no matter what. I think any decision you make, guys are going to be like,
well, Russo's only got this year, so if you're a young guy, you weren't going to be the starter anyway. Like if you're Noah Kim and you're only a year behind. Now the thing that gets interesting is with the COVID year, there's more flexibility for a little while. All these guys have that extra year. Some of them won't use it, some of them will. So you can create extra eligibility for some of these guys.
But if you're Thorne and they do pick Russo, you could get pissed off at that because you think you're better, obviously.
Absolutely.
Next one from David. If MSU.
And by the way, it's Thorne.
Thorne, what did I say?
Well, no, I'm saying
it's Thorne. Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah. If MSU was starting a proven stiff at quarterback, lost its best running back, and starting offensive lineman in fall camp, the world would say, will stink. Why is Northwestern getting a pass? Why shouldn't I think that not only will MSU win, but also Northwestern will be lucky to beat Illinois?
Well, I think you're right in thinking that. First of all, that rivalry is there have been years where Northwestern's been significantly better in Illinois and lost it, or vice versa. I think they are getting. I mean, who they were, who they've been, who they were last year, and the unknown. I mean, people look at Michigan State as 2-5 and all these transfers, but if you look at things closer, like you're handicapping a game based on the money, and it started at -6, and the money was on MSU and brought it down. But if you were just trying to be right, I don't see how you look at this and don't at least at the most call it a pick 'em. The other thing Vegas doesn't do well with Northwestern, we talked about this, it's like Eastern Michigan basketball. It's not really a home field, and yet they still get the extra points for that. So essentially what Vegas has done here at this point is it's a pick 'em, but they're giving Northwestern the 3.5 points for being home, and you don't do that in Northwestern. It's not a home game.
Next one from David. Is the constant change of days and times of the show a nefarious plan of yours to reduce overall questions and thereby increase the airtime for the real Upper Deck Jerk guy?
You've gotten us.
Yeah, busted.
That was it. Now, there are going to be a few more of these Thursday shows because instead of Friday, based on travel, so
don't freak out, David.
This was weird because of this was a Friday game, obviously. But if it's a travel that involves, like, there's one, I'll tell you right now, the Miami game, I'm flying out early. My wife's going with me. We're going to do the show Thursday. The Rutgers game, I have a Friday wedding in the Finger Lakes region of New York, and then I have an early rental car drive to Piscataway the next day. So those 2 weeks, there will be Thursday shows as well.
All right, just putting that in my calendar.
That's the first
found
thing.
that out. Yeah.
Okay.
Mojo Jojo up next. How likely is Delta to upset the football season we've all been holding out for, particularly in the South? Stay safe, y'all. Appreciate you.
Yeah, I'm hopeful that the numbers, like, there's some evidence that after a couple months, some of these variants cycle out a little bit, and decrease. And I'm a little worried actually up north where we haven't been hit quite as hard that it lingers a little deeper. I think we'll get through the football season mostly okay. I'm worried about, where are we when everything moves indoors? That's my bigger concern.
Next one from Mojo Jojo. Best game day food for home viewing. Planning a feast for 2 Saturday. And unfortunately, I live in the Bay Area, so out of range of Groovy Donuts or Front 43. But would love to hear about them. Pivot to Graham's ad pitch voice.
Yeah, no. Absolutely. And Groovy Donut, I wish if Groovy Donuts could, the problem is what makes Groovy Donuts great is they make them every night and they're fresh the next day. And you don't want, I would eat a stale Groovy Donut. I think it's still incredible. But they're not going to ship donuts because it just doesn't work.
Amazon Prime.
Yeah, and Front 43, same deal. It wouldn't be as good. Same for Midtown Brewing Company. Just wouldn't last to get out to the Bay Area. But what is the best game day food for home viewing to you?
Honestly, it is sandwiches, and it's kind of like that Hawaiian roll sandwiches Treese makes that have been a hit. Like, we've done it at a tailgate and a party at the house. So those are easy. People can, you throw out some condiments, some chips and stuff. I think people dig that.
Yeah, pizza to me is great. Always.
But it shows like you don't really give a shit, though.
No, but you get good
slap
pizza.
4 boxes on the
Get
table.
good pizza. I'm not talking about just crap pizza. Get good pizza. But yeah, you're right. Doing something kind of fun is if there's some place that's the equivalent of Groovy Donuts, not that there is an equivalent, of a false equivalent to something that you fancy out there, go with that.
Mr. Neurotic Pants up next. Jason, if Mel Tucker repeatedly called you sugar tits, would you kick him off the pod? No, that would be the greatest day of my life, I think. If Mel Tucker called me sugar tits, I would hope that would make like ESPN or something.
That would be you'd be in heaven. It would be hilarious.
At least Solari would tweet about it.
Yeah,
that'd be the greatest. Neurotic Pants. If Anthony Russo doesn't get the nod this season, was his transfer a bust?
No, not necessarily. For him, it will be a disappointment. But the way the NFL things work anyway, if he's somebody who deserves a shot, he'll get a shot. And the thing is, he was not guaranteed to be the guy at Temple this year. And you can go down a level and probably play more likely, or you can take your shot competing. Now, I do believe when he committed to Michigan State, the quarterback situation didn't look as promising, or nobody realized Thorne was going to come on like he did. And that Penn State game kind of changed things a little bit. And certainly for MSU, it's comforting. I think having a guy like that, you go into this season, you're not one hit away from the season being over and ruined. And I think that that's a comforting deal for the MSU coaching staff and for teammates, just knowing that, because we've all seen it when you see a quarterback get hit and you think, that's it. That season's done for them.
And the last one from Pants. I'm going to the Outhouse this weekend in Ann Arbor. Can you give me anything to watch for? Is playing in the Big House intimidating?
It's not one of the more. It's a cool stadium, but I don't think it's one of the more intimidating places that I've been in terms of visiting teams.
100,000.
It's a lot of people, but the way the bowl is set up, they're not right on top of you sound wise. Like, I've been to louder places where it doesn't get necessarily deafening. It is a lot of freaking people, and I do think they'll win that game comfortably. That's just my own thought on that. anything to watch for. I don't know if they've improved the bathroom facility. But the last time I went as a non-media member, I just remember my father and I went in 2008. We had never been before. We thought it was fun. I was like 28 years old. And at halftime, he went to the bathroom. And he missed, I think Javon Ringer had like an 80-yard run right after that, which he missed, which came right into the end zone where we were sitting because they had like 3 porta potties that took like 74 minutes to get through for everybody. But I hopefully they've changed that deal. Just
what
a
year
little
was
bit.
that?
2008.
I think they might have changed it.
Yeah, so I'm the
So-
wrong person to ask. I don't know. I sit in the press box most times I go there. It's not an equivalent.
My office for the day. Ray up next. Graham, create your ultimate team handball team of current professional athletes, 7 players per Wikipedia. Jason, would you watch this team? No. Oh, wait, I got to hear your players. Sorry.
Yeah. So I've got LeBron James playing for sure.
Mm.
I mean, I think he would be a great handballer. You probably want you probably want like a pitcher or a real athletic. Who's an athletic pitcher at quarterback? You know who would be who's the most athletic quarterback in the NFL?
Cockburn.
The most athletic, Taysom Hill.
It could be a Taysom Hill or what's his guy Jackson at
Lamar Jackson.
Lamar Jackson. I'm not going to go through the whole team, but it would be guys like that with
So athletes.
athletes who were great vision pass guys could do a lot. Yeah, athletes.
John Crager up next. Gun to your head, Russo or Thorne starting Friday.
It's Thorne.
So you've known.
Well, no, I'm just saying
You say it as if you know.
if
Graham has not told me.
to me, if it's not Peyton Thorne, this is a great fake out by Tucker, like a great fake out. In other words, there are peripheral sources who say it's Thorne, who aren't close enough to like report it out, but he's gotten it, so they've gotten it all wrong. Like that's an impressive fake out. If you get the people around the program to get it wrong, and know the type of people who are going to leak it, and get
I hate to break it to you, but I have a source who's in Las Vegas, and he's telling me Russo.
Oh yeah.
So,
well, that's it.
so
It's
that's-
Russo.
Yeah. John Crager with this one. Jordan or LeBron? Gun to your head.
This is for you.
I don't need a gun. It's Jordan.
Oh, same.
It's Jordan. I mean, LeBron is definitely top 3 or 4, whatever. Next one from Crazier. What do you tell someone whose self-confidence is beaten, battered, hit over the head with a shovel, shot, and buried 6 feet down with said shovel?
I tell them to go see Mark and Jay at North Coast Wealth Management and get your money back working for you. That's what I would say. And
You think it's money situation John's talking about?
they probably help you either way. These are good guys, you know,
True.
former Spartans, smart men who care about the people that they're serving. And you can call them at 248-626-2000. Visit them at northcoastwm.com or email them info@northcoastwm.com. Let them know Couch in the Rube sent you for a free consultation. So the thing, okay, if somebody's confidence is beaten down, battered, hit over the head with a shovel, shot and buried 6 feet down, and you're trying to build them back up,
Yeah.
you're better than this shit, man. You're great. We love you.
I tell them stories from my past.
It makes
They
you
go,
feel better.
"Goddamn." Yeah.
Yeah. No,
They go, man, could be worse.
you just remind them of their worth to people. I mean, to have people around them, how much they mean to people, and what they're good at, and the things that they provide value in life. And I think those are the.
I mean, hit over the head with a shovel, shot, and buried 6 feet down with said shovel, Graham. I don't know if that's going to pull someone.
Well, maybe the first day is just a beer, hanging out with them, or some ice cream, just like chill, just get their spirits back up, and then the next, and then it's a slow reminder of all they bring to the world, and the things that, and how, you know, there's time and there's good decisions to be made, and there's, you know, you can reinvent what's going on in your life a little bit. That would be my my sales pitch.
Tony Robbins. Next one from John. What's the most upset each of you have ever gotten, and what was the cause and end result of it?
Where are you at on this?
Where am I at? I mean, like in my personal life? We'll see what. I don't know. I ended up in jail because of it, probably.
All right, let's go.
No, that was the reason. It was a fight that I got into.
Yeah.
That turned into warrants. That turned into me telling the judge to go F themselves.
And 72
doing
days.
90. Well, it was 90. 72 with good behavior.
Right, and then Ingham County
But
Jail.
I was given contempt of court twice.
So the judge said to you what?
The judge tried they tried making me do marijuana drops, and I was not a cannabis connoisseur back then. So I found that to be ludicrous. I've never been arrested for any crime involving drugs or anything like that. So I said, absolutely not. I'm not going to do that. It's a probation is a cash grab. I'm not going to do it. And she proceeded to tell me how crack cocaine or marijuana leads to crack cocaine, and was going to give a speech that was going to be lengthy. And I just said, you know what? Fuck it. Just give me the jail time. And she did. It's not a good place at that time. So, yeah, I was not clearly thinking. Would I do that again? No.
And by the way, we should have her come in and sit down with the folks at SkyMint and explain to them, but that isn't how this really works.
Yeah, this was years and years ago. But, I just when you spend a night in jail and you sleep on a floor and you eat a bologna sandwich and you don't get to see the judge until 4 p.m, you just kind of lose your shit.
That is a story presented by our friends at Midtown Brewing Company, 402 South Washington Avenue on the south edge of downtown Lansing. Easy to park, great vibe, great. I mean, just a fabulous menu. One of my favorite places to sit and chat with a friend, and good beers, everything. Make it part of your weekend. And on Mondays, remember, 20% off your tab. Was there this Monday and was able to enjoy that. Midtown Brewing Company in downtown Lansing.
I love that Mr. Rogers transition read after me telling a judge to go F off.
Yeah.
He's just sitting with a nice friend. Graham Carpenter up next. What do you think about Ricky White's comments?
Yeah, I mean,
what do you say?
Truthful but unrevealing. Like, I mean, he basically said he's not playing right now because of personal things, and basically looked forward to being back or whatever. And they are personal things, but I mean, it was behavioral based. So, but yeah, anyway.
Next one from Graham Carpenter. Do any of you guys go to Reno's for Tucker's radio show? Went to see him for the first time. Great guy.
I have not been. When I covered the beat with Diamond Leung at M Live, he used to go to all the radio shows, and I've gone a couple times when I thought there was information. Don't usually go to them. Every once in a while I'll listen if I'm curious about something, but I tend not to.
By the way, did you tell him that you were Graham Carpenter on Twitter when you met him? What is Jason's routine for college game days? Same for Couch. Explain what all you do on game day, Couch.
What's your routine, man?
Well, it has changed drastically from 2 years ago when I was still drinking.
So now it's a SkyMint game day.
It's a SkyMint game day, but I try to get things done in the morning to feel accomplished. So when I sit down to watch football, it feels like, you know what I mean?
It's a great feeling.
You work up a sweat, you do some chores and stuff, and then you take a shower, then boom, noon.
There is no better feeling, and I still get this on bike, than having a productive morning,
right?
And feeling like you earned the afternoon and evening of just watching sports, and you'd feel like you got something done that day.
2 years ago, I had a productive morning, but it involved Jägermeister.
Yeah, well, so, a little different. Now it's just a heavy. Now it's a SkyMint,
absolutely,
and maybe some groovy donuts, and man, that's
SkyMint saved my life. Thank you, SkyMint. What's your routine? Graham Carpenter wants details.
My routine. Depends on the
show up late.
But yeah, no. I don't get there early. Some of these guys get there like 2.5 hours early. I don't. I value my time at home, and so you get a Michigan State game that's I hate the noon kickoffs, but you get me a 3:30 kickoff. I will get there. I'll watch other football. I'll try and have the productive morning, all that type of stuff, and I'll get there like an hour before the game, and make sure I'm all set up to go, and all the files are set to write in, and I have some ideas about things I want to look for, and then and afterwards it's you do the press conferences, you do the interviews, and you're there for a long time. Like this Friday, for example, my wife is going with me to Chicago, and it's where we're staying. It's going to be a pain to get up to the stadium because it's going to be Friday traffic. You try and get up there a couple hours early. But afterwards, game ends at 12:15, 12:30. I mean, I'm going to probably drive back to the hotel. I'll be up till 5, 6 in the morning. When you wake up, all the content will be there for you. That's sort of the way it works. And
so where do you work then? Does she sleep in you guys get two hotel rooms?
Sometimes I'll get a suite. No, she'll be fine. She knows on a work trip like this, she works fine if I've got like a little lamp up in the corner, and she'll put some earplugs in or something if I need to watch highlights or things like that. She'll be fine.
All right. Graham Carpenter, this one bonus question. Will you be utilizing Groovy Donuts being open for tailgates?
I always utilize Groovy Donuts being open.
Will you, Graham Carpenter?
Well, I mean, I don't.
Graham Carpenter needs to go.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't tailgate so I don't need to get there as early, but I will be. Groovy Donuts will be part of my life, part of my weekend. Groovy Donuts will always be part of my life. Even if they weren't a sponsor, Groovy Donuts will be part of my life. You don't get a gut like this without enjoying a few groovy donuts. And my wife does this. My wife's in much better shape than I am. This is she loves. We'll get a 6 donuts, and she'll take one bite of each, and then I'll just eat the rest.
What a process.
Yeah.
I can see that live. Raccoon Graham up next. What is your favorite restaurant to go to in Evanston before the game? Reply in Yoda voice, please.
Restaurant in Evanston I don't have. Don't have I? I don't fuck. So I don't really have one. I've gone a few places. It's not a great town. It's just not. Chicago's a great town. Like I always say in Chicago. I mean, Evanston's not a great food town. It really isn't. So I don't have one.
Next from Raccoon Graham, ever witness a live fight inside a stadium / venue? If so, what are your instincts, fight or flight? Reply in Yoda voice, please.
Run, I do.
Oh, man.
I have witnessed a few fights. Lions games. My dad used to take me to Lions games like once a year for my birthday when I was a kid, and like the old Silverdome, and every once in a while be in the upper deck, turn around, you're like, I don't know if it's safe to be here, Dad.
Is that a Yoda voice?
No, that's just
Was that young Graham Yoda voice?
that was young Graham Yoda. I don't know. Safe, I don't know to be here, Dad.
Just when you think it couldn't get any worse. Lastly, from Raccoon Graham, favorite tailgate setup? I've been to some killer ones over the seasons. Please reply in Yoda voice.
Donuts, groovy donuts. Monica and Andrew had tailgate 2 years ago. Is that decent? That was a great tailgate, though. The Monica and Andrew groovy donuts tailgate. I mean, it was just them and their people, and there were lots of donuts, and they were absolutely fantastic. Jason, do you think that Bill Beekman,
Paul E. Show up next. Rube, what shitty-ass movies are you going to tell Graham to watch to get him back for all the shitty-ass movies he's told you to watch? Also, I found a 1994 Lonnie Bahanos rookie card in my collection. How much is that worth? I don't know. Is it graded? 1.4 mil, probably.
Man.
No, I'm not going to get Graham back because I don't want to, tell him to go see Gone Fishing with Joe Pesci and Danny Glover that came out in 1993.
I would probably watch that.
I know you would. You'd probably enjoy it.
Yeah.
It's one of the worst movies ever.
Yeah, and I don't mean to give him bad. Like, I think these are good movies. These are not shitty movies. And I would say that I'm not, like the other night we watched.
But you've known me for a certain amount of years, and you would think at some point you would get that.
Yeah.
Like, you would watch something and go, yeah, I don't see Jason watching.
I've been right on a few. Like, you liked 5-Year Engagement, right? Which I watched.
Who was
the
in
other
that?
night. That was the one with Kevin Hart and what's his name from How I Met Your Mother? The one that's where they go to Ann Arbor and he's a chef. And
Did we watch that?
I don't know. You'd like that one. That's really good. A really good movie.
Okay.
Chris Pratt and it's young Chris Pratt, young Kevin Hart. It's
Thanks to Skymint, I can watch pretty much anything.
good. That's right.
Except for most of your shit. Real Upper Deck Twerk Guy, a.k.a. Woke Couch. New athletic director Alan Haller says the athletic department will be built on equity and inclusion. Does that mean we need to start more recruiting Asian and Latinx football players, trans and non-binary, disabled players too? Got to be inclusive, guys. But really, can you ask him exactly what diversity looks like on the basketball team? He's just repeating meaningless tropes in observance of the woke religion.
It's not in the athletes you recruit. It's not like, hey, we got to have 6 more white guys on the basketball team. Although there are coaches who will say you don't want your roster to be too black or too white, and there are.
Well, you don't want it to be too white.
I love that you said Latinx. You called Latin. What did you
Latinx?
call it? Latinx.
I've never heard it called. It's Latinx.
Well, that's the yeah.
Why don't you give me a space there, Couch? I don't know what this code word shit is.
Yeah, that's not at all what it means by diversity. It's in hiring practices. It's it's not about what athletes you allow on your team. It's not like
when has one a head coach ever said we have too many black guys? Never. You always say it's always the opposite. We have too many white guys.
Oh no. I mean, they'll never say it publicly, but absolutely, coaches worry about perception of that with donors, and absolutely, a lot of white donors don't like a team that gets too black. That happens in college basketball almost entirely. I'm telling you right now, I have had multiple coaches talk to me about this. They are very aware of racial makeup of teams.
Wow. All right, Jake Hawkins up next. Thoughts about the title of Week 0?
I mean, I don't. I don't love week 0 overall.
Is it sponsored by something?
Yeah.
Like
I mean, it
Coke
makes sense,
Zero?
but I'm glad they don't call it week 1. Like, I hated when it was the NCAA tournament was doing the thing with the first round of games was like the round of those 4 extra games. Then it was the second round and everybody else played the first game. That's bullshit.
How about we just call it football is back?
Absolutely.
Next one from Jake. What other adversary will MSU's defense face Friday and throughout the season?
Adversity, maybe?
Adversary.
I think it's supposed to be
Jeez,
adversity.
you're really killing me today. Latinx.
Sorry.
I don't know if these are woke words or some shit. I don't know.
Oh.
Adversary.
If it's adversity, I mean, the big thing for me is the mental makeup when they get shredded. When things go wrong, how does this group bounce back? How steel are their nerves? Does that make sense? How nerves are steel? How resolved?
You do.
Yeah.
See, that was actually a good Yoda, but you fucking
how steel are their nerves?
Hoggins with this one. What other chances that all 3 or 4 of MSU's running backs get quality carries and playing time against Northwestern?
Quality carries. I mean, I think 3 guys will get playing time, and maybe they'll try. I think you'll see Kenneth Walker, Jordan Simmons, and Elijah Collins have planned carries. And they might try to work, but quality time. I mean, it's hard to play more than 2. It really is. I've had multiple coordinators tell me that. So, you get one guy that gets going, and somebody's going to get – there won't be 3 guys happy at the end of the game, put it that way.
Next from the Hawk, aside from Jared Horst at left tackle, who else on MSU's offensive line is an X factor on Friday night?
Well, I think the center position with Matt Allen, it's interesting because he has not maybe had the career his brothers did. He is, and he seems to have won that job convincingly over Samac, and I'm interested to watch that because a few years ago they had I think it was 2017. That was a young line. If you look back at a really young line, Luke Campbell is a freshman, Cole Chewins is a freshman, a redshirt freshman or whatever they were on the ends, and they got through it because they had great leadership, great center. And I think the center position is something that's really important there.
All right, next one from Jake. Do you think Pat Fitzgerald will ever leave Northwestern for a bigger job?
Not a college job. He's sort of like
why would he?
But he's also sort of like Brad Stevens in a way. Like I just don't know if it would fit or people would like him as like. To me, he's got to go to. If he ever did another college job, it would be after he did an NFL job. Like the Bears looked at him and he said no. I think it would have to be. It would have to be post an NFL job, which I could see that happening because that's a clean break and sort of wanting
but
to
you
go
get
do
like $3 million a year. There's really no expectations as long as you win 9 games every 3 years or something.
It's unless you really decide you want to do something else in life. Yeah.
Next one from Jake. Do you think Alan Haller will be like Mark Hollis, Bill Beekman, or someone in between?
Yeah, I mean, he's definitely his own man. And you can tell there are elements of working for Hollis that he's taken from that. There are things he respected about Bill Beekman, but he's different than all of them. And I think he's in a different era, too, where the types of things Mark Hollis did were great for the 2011-12 era when it was about events and it was about those 2 sports, football and basketball, and the budgets were a little different. I don't think there's a direct comparison, but you kind of want the best of everybody, but you got to be yourself, right?
Jake, up next. Do you think Border Grill is better than Chipotle or puts them to shame?
Chipotle.
Chipotle.
So I love Border Grill in Marquette. That's what he's talking about. If you're ever in Marquette, it's a fantastic sort of takeout, fast food, Mexican food. The Border Grills, I love Chipotle too, but the Border Grill sauce from Marquette is what makes it. They have some great breeds. It's fantastic. Puts it to shame.
Upper Deck Jerk guy with these questions. How many transfers does Izzo bring in for the 2022 class?
I say 2 guys. And I think any year, that's the thing he's going to be able to do, and he'll get comfortable with it. Anytime there's a class that he doesn't get the guys he wants, and he's got a point guard already in that class, so it won't be that. He's got plenty of guards in the system. But, I do think they will bring in somebody, and they'll know where that is and what they need at the end of this year. And that's the other thing with transfers. They're guys you recruit later. High school kids, you're sort of recruiting and hoping that guy commits, and then you develop and you fit him in. But with transfers, you can kind of see what you need, and that relationship can come together later.
Next one from Jerk Guy. Chances that all 3 or 4 of MSU's running backs get quality carries or playing time against Northwestern.
This might have been Jake's question twice, and I put the wrong thing on it. So we already went through this one.
Yeah.
Apologies.
Sorry. Can we expect a full 2022 NCAA football game with a full name, image, and likeness for all players?
That's a good question.
They need to.
Yeah, it'd be cool.
Time.
Yep.
Upper Deck Jerk Guy with this one. Can the Lions go 0 for season again?
It feels like that's the momentum that people think they're going to be horrible, and I do think they're going to be bad. Their schedule's brutal. The 0-4 is hard to do.
It's still possible, though.
It is possible.
I mean, really, not having a kicker until you just signed one the other day.
I am more inclined than ever to take the Lions under this year. It's just like, I just don't.
Is it 2.5?
Yeah, it's more like 5, right?
I mean, why? It could happen. Lions over. Oh, that'd kill me. Lastly, from the Jerk Guy, what's the Northwestern food like for the sports writers? Important.
Yeah, if I recall, it's like might be some burgers and there's it's like a buffet style deal. It's nothing.
I mean, Zion was a big deal because he was a huge guy, and I just broke my chair.
It's not a great press box. It's a little old and rinkety and tight. It's not a great press box. But you know what? You're in there for free, and when it's cold, you're warm in there, and I'm not gonna complain about it. We appreciate all of your Groovy Donut Twitter questions. Fantastic stuff as always. I hope you guys enjoy the games. Enjoy the Michigan State game. We'll be back on Monday with your hot takes and ours. Labor Day, we're working Labor Day. We're doing a hot take. By the way, Jason, we're working Monday.
Oh, all right. Let me put it in my schedule.
Yep. We will do that on Monday with your hot takes and ours and get into everything that we see this weekend. Thanks to Skymint, as always, for all they do for us. Go to skymint.com for locations and specials. Use the Couch in the Roof promo code CouchAndRoof20. Thanks to Groovy Donuts. You know where to find them, groovydonuts.com. And place your order today. And thanks to Mark and Jay at North Coast Wealth Management. That's 248-626-2000. Get your free consultation. Tell them Couch in the Roof sent you. Good show, man.
All right.
Have a great weekend.